Hello fellow artists, this is George C. Van Loo here. I'm working on a one brush two paintings right now. This is the brush. It is a Princeton Neptune. It's a very nice brush, synthetic. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of behind the story, behind the painting, show you a little bit of what I do, what materials I'm using, how it works, and so let's get into this. So like I said, I got a Princeton Neptune here. Neptune is the series, Princeton's the brand, and it's a quill. That's the shape. It's not a round, it's a quill. It has a larger body. And so that's the brush I'm using. I'm not using the small palette this time, I'm just using my palette, the one I use most of the time for watercolor. So it's filled with higher quality paints, but you can paint the same thing with similar colors. So here are the two paintings. They're very wet right now, as you can see. And so there's one of the roses, there's another rose, there's the pictures I'm working off of. I usually work off of pictures. I'm more of a studio artist rather than a plein air artist. And so one thing that I definitely want to explain to you and show you is this right here. It's called Yupo paper. This paper is the paper I'm using to paint those two paintings. And now this, it's a plastic film. If you hear it, hear that? It's a plastic film. It's very thin. You can see right through it. They have engineered this, created this so that you can paint watercolor on top of plastic, which, you know, isn't normal. And that's why you see it so wet. Even the dry sections are still going to shine and glisten a little bit. Do you see that? Because the paint just sits right up on top. So one really good thing that it lets you be able to do is these really bright, saturated colors, because the color sitting right on top of the page is not soaking into the page. Here is a little rose that is done on normal cold press 140 watercolor paper, and so the color seeps in, so you have to do a lot of layers to get it up to, you know, the color and the darkness, the saturation that you want. With this, one time can give you really nice bright color, so it's good for that, but you can't do very large washes on it. The color the water kind of coagulates, comes together, pulls together, and to do very large washes doesn't really work, but to do these little detailed things works very well. Now for these type of paintings, it's not a very realistic approach. I'm using one brush, and how I'm kind of doing this, let me do a couple little strokes here for you, is it's kind of how much you can do in one stroke. So as I come down into here to paint a panel, let's just say this one, I use the brush to create the shape, okay, rather than taking the little end of the brush and painting around all these little things like this to get a shape that I want. I'm trying to do a one stroke. See how much I can do with one stroke. So let's say up here there's kind of two petals here, so I want to create that. So I'm going to start up here, and then I'm going to curve the brush and bring it down so it creates these two different petals. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do with this painting. It's kind of each stroke is what I'm going for, trying to see as much as I can do with each stroke and get these different textures and colors in here. So let's do another one of these. So just pull it around and move the brush. Make the brush do what you want to do. Don't make the brush tell you what to do, or say, oh, I'm a round brush, so I, you know, paint these certain shapes. You always have to make the brush do what you want to do. Force the brush to do what you want. Let's do some of these leaves. They're very fun. So you press down hard, and then lift up like that. I didn't really have enough color on there, but let's try that again. Boom. See that? So you create these little shapes, and sometimes it doesn't fill out to the edge, but it ends up, when it dries, it does. So what you're trying to do is do these one light, harder press, scoop it up a little bit. See that? So you're creating these little leaf shapes. And like I said, I'm not going for a very realistic approach. I'm trying to show you guys some of the Yupo paper, show you some different materials and some different techniques. So for this one, I'm trying to see how much I can do with one brush stroke. So that's kind of the plan of attack for this painting. It's these little one stroke things like that. See? So you get one stroke and see how much you can do. So Yupo paper helps a lot with this type of technique, because you can't really do big washes anyway, so you gotta kind of do short, quick little things. I kind of like how these are coming along bright, very colorful. That's not my normal way of painting watercolor. I usually do a much more realistic approach, and, you know, large washes of watercolor, which is kind of a normal way to do watercolor. But this is a lot of fun, and this is also a new material, this Yupo paper, so you gotta kind of try and use it a little differently and kind of experiment with it. And that's kind of what these one brush two paintings are about, little different experiments and kind of just showing you these different little things that I do. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.